Shalom. This is part 2 of the MOTB or CBDC, or rather CBDC or MOTB video. And this is an article from CoinDesk.com. It's an opinion piece written by Nicholas Timothy. It says Nigerians' rejection of their CBDC is a cautionary tale for other countries. Nigerians are protesting the African country's digital currency and demanding renewed access to paper money despite government incentives. In Nigeria, citizens have taken to the street to protest the nation's cash shortage, further objecting to their government's implementation of a central bank digital currency, CBDC. The shortage came about due to the cash restrictions aimed at pushing the country into a 100% cashless economy. Yet, instead of adopting the CBDC, Nigerian protesters are demanding paper money to be restored. The country's experience strongly suggests that the average citizen understands that CBDCs present a substantial risk to financial freedom while providing no unique benefit. It is no secret that CBDCs have been growing in popularity among central bankers, policymakers, and consultancy firms in recent years. Yet for citizens, it's been another story. When the U.S. Federal Reserve solicited comments on CBDCs, more than 2/3 of the commenters were concerned about the risk to financial privacy, financial freedom, and stability of the banking system. Further, CBDCs really don't add anything novel to the market in terms of benefit for consumers. To the extent people want it, many currencies are available in digital forms through debit cards, payment apps, and even prepaid cards. That much should be clear from the abysmal adoption in Nigeria, which is less than 0.5%. Less than 0.5% of the Nigerians have used the CBDC. To put that number into perspective, more than 50% of Nigerians have used cryptocurrencies. CBDC adoption incentives in Nigeria have failed. The Nigerian government has unleashed a fury of tricks to spur adoption, but none have proven effective. To its credit, the Nigerian government tried to encourage Slovakia. The Nigerian government has unleashed a flurry of tricks to spur adoption, but none have proven effective. To its credit, the Nigerian government initially tried to encourage the use through modest measures. In August 2022, it removed access restrictions so that bank accounts were no longer required to use the CBDC, and in October, it offered discounts if people use CBDC to pay for cabs. Yet, neither effort proved to be fruitful. Put simply, Nigerians prefer cash. Unfortunately, the Nigerian government doubled down and moved to more drastic measures by restricting cash itself. In December, the Central Bank of Nigeria began restricting cash withdrawals to 100,000 naira per week for individuals and 500,000 naira for businesses. To make matters worse, the Nigerian government also chose to redesign the currency during this time in a move aimed at restoring control of the Central Bank of Nigeria over currency in circulation, to further deepen to push a cashless economy, according to the CBN press release. So not only are citizens limited in how much they may withdraw, but the commercial banks also don't have the cash to give out because many are waiting for newly designed cash to arrive. With these restrictions in place, the Nigerian government managed to drain the economy of cash and set the stage for CBDC to finally have its moment in the spotlight. All right, and I'm going to post a link to this article if brothers are interested, but we pretty much got the gist. We're gonna go into YouTube real quick, and we're gonna look at this quick video here.
Tequila Herradura Ultra Extraordinary awaits.
Queues outside petrol stations and outside banks. Residents of Lagos wait for hours to get cash or fuel, but neither are guaranteed. Ahead of the elections, Nigeria's economy is facing two major crises.
This was 3 months ago.
The first, a cash shortage sparked by the replacement of paper notes with newly redesigned ones as the nation hopes to curb money laundering. In spite of a January 31st deadline, banks don't have enough new currency to swap for the old notes which residents are handing in. A crisis which has left people cashless and has forced businesses to close.
The ATMs are not working. Even when you walk into the bank, they will tell you they are not giving that money, that they don't have the cash. I mean the new notes. So it seems as if this is the only bank that is dispensing money.
The deadline for handing in old notes has been pushed back to February 10th. Petrol shortages are also plaguing the country. Nigeria is Africa's biggest crude producer, yet relies on oil imports to meet local demand due to refineries operating below their capacity. Outside this petrol station, frustrated drivers get into a fight as they wait the entire day with no certainty of getting fuel.
This is what we see every day, and I have to bring my children to school here every day, and this is what happens.
Less than a month before voting day, and frustrations are growing across the country, especially since the annual inflation rose over 21% at the turn of the year.
So as we read in that article, this note swapping situation is completely artificial. All right, it's a completely artificial situation that was created by the Nigerian government in order to kind of incentivize people to start using the CBDC. When people fought back, what they did is they said, okay, give us the old cash, we're going to give you new cash, which is just another ploy for them to get the final cash that's in circulation, and now they can control how much access there is to their new cash, which means that they're probably going to be producing less, or not probably, which they are producing less. So this is what they're doing to get people to use the CBDC. Now, what more are governments, like what other measures are governments willing to take to make sure that this gets implemented? And now they're not even talking about how, like right now they're talking about here in the US, they're talking about using an app called FedNow. But how much more is, like, what else? Okay, they're going to use the app FedNow, but how about when the app poses drastic privacy or security issues? What's going to be the next step? Oh yeah, no, we're not going to have the app. Now we're going to do this implantable micro C-hip, or this keychain that you can carry around. And then once people start to lose the keychain, or people are getting robbed for their keychains, oh, we have a biometric solution, which is going to be what? It's going to be that micro C-hip. And we see it coming from a mile away, man. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7, and it says, alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right, so Jacob's trouble is coming, man. And there's going to be a time like nothing like it. And Nigeria is getting a small taste of that right now. Or 3 months ago. It's probably getting worse now. I haven't looked at anything more recent than the information that I have in this video. But there's a possibility that things have gotten worse. But guess what? Things are going to get bad, and they're going to get worse here in America and all over the world as well, anywhere where the Israelites are, man. There's going to be a Jacob's trouble, man. It says, but he shall be saved out of it. And who is the he? He is the man of the Lord, the elect. It says, for it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will bury thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Exactly. And the reason that we need to go through Jacob's trouble is because Jacob's trouble is going to be that defining moment that's going to prove, all right, to us as mortals on this land on who are the true people of the Lord and who are the elect, all right, of the nation of Israel. But also, it's gonna, it's gonna. Once we know who the elect are, we're gonna know who the judges are, man. We're gonna know that in the kingdom of heaven, all right, who are gonna be those judges? Who are gonna be those rulers, man? And this needs to happen. This signifies the Lord breaking off the yokes, all right, the Lord bringing us the kingdom. Verse 9, it says, but they shall serve their Lord, the Lord their God, and David their king, who I will raise up unto them. Exactly, man. And the kingdom is going to be beautiful, man. Everything is going to be in order. This in 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 18, it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Exactly. So this is the beginning of many bad times. All right. And Ezra was seeing this in his vision. And his question was, what am I going to do when these times shall come? Which means that Ezra had an idea. All right. He had an understanding of the scriptures and he understood that reincarnation was a an aspect, all right, of the scriptures, man. He understood that. It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. All right, so all these things are going to be sent as scourges for amendment for the nation of Israel to turn back. But ultimately, they're not. It says, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be mindful of the scourges. Behold, victual shall be so good, cheap upon the earth, that they shall think to themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Exactly. So, these people on this planet, man, they think, man, these people in the world, rather, they think that they're in a good case, man. They still think they're in a good case right now, man. Summer's about to come. Food is not necessarily cheap, but with $10, you could still get a meal. You could still go to the Chinese food spot and get fried rice with chicken wings for under $10. You could still go to the store and get a bottle of water for $1.25. You could still go to the store and get some chips and a sandwich for under $10. So, these people think they're in a good place, man. Or maybe not in a good place, but they definitely don't think that they're in a bad place. And guess what? The Lord is going to show them that they're in a bad place because they think they're good right now. They think they're decent. But guess what? These evils are growing, man. The sword is coming. Famine is coming. And that great confusion is coming, man. It says, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Exactly. So many people are going to die of hunger, all right, of thirst. And those who do not die of hunger and thirst, they're going to die from the sword. They're going to be killed, all right, whether it be by another person or whether it be by the Lord when he returns, or whether it be by those thermonuclear missiles, man. But they're going to be destroyed. This is describing the time of Jacob's trouble. It says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, because it's going to be complete chaos. There's going to be no, oh, yeah, let's put some money together and take him to get cremated or bury him or the funeral service. There's going to be none of that. It says, there shall be no man to comfort them. Exactly. It says, for earth shall be wasted and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it, all right? There's going to be no organization. There's going to be no society. Society as we know it is going to come to a complete stop. It says the trees shall give fruit and who shall gather them, all right? So the trees are going to be out there bearing fruit. No one's going to be there to pick them. The trees are going to fall out. The fruit is going to rot, all right? It says the grapes shall ripen and who shall tread them, all right? There's going to be no wine making. It says, for all places shall be desolate of men. It says, so that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. For a city, for of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in thick groves and in the clefts of the rock. All right, people are going to be hiding. All right, people are going to be scared, man. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. It says, as in the orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or, as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. All right, it's just a metaphor of how it's going to be. It's going to be a desolate time. The land is going to be desolate. All right, people are going to be dying. There's not going to be many people to socialize with and to congregate with. And if you do see those people, man, you're going to have to be weary of them. It's going to be like the Walking Dead out here. It says, even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. The earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man have traveled there through. Exactly, man. So this is what society is going to come to, man. Society as we know it is going to come to a complete stop, just like how it did in The Walking Dead. Every time I read this scripture, all right, and it's talking about how desolate everything is going to be, it reminds me of the first episode of The Walking Dead, which is actually a callback to another movie, to a zombie movie called 28 Days Later. All right, and in the scene in The Walking Dead, Rick wakes up from the hospital, and the hospital is completely, the hospital is completely empty. And then he gets dressed, he goes outside, and he jumps on a horse, and there's no cars going by, there's nothing going by, there's nothing going on. And that's exactly what happens in 28 Days Later. It's the same thing. It's a callback to that movie. And that's exactly what it's going to be like in these times, man. So CBDC or MOTB, after the evidence that has been presented to you, you decide. But the men of the Lord know, man, as I brought out earlier, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. And the CBDC is a device that the so-called white man is planning to use, all right, to further tighten the yoke that he has on you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the people that descend from them, all right? So, amen, I hope, this lesson was edifying. I'd like to give an all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the honestly apostles and elders of Great Millstone who continue to teach us this truth. And salutations to you, Akim, out there. Until next time, Shalom.